My teleprompter people doing a great job. Thank God I don't use teleprompters too much. I have a guy, Gabe. He's excellent. I've had some real bad ones, but I have Gabe. Some of the bad ones, they go so fast. You know, I will go and pop, 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 pop. I say, slow the damn down. No, a good one is really like gold, right? But I don't use them that much because I find it's very boring.
Could be making some gold. That was Donald Trump praising his longtime teleprompter operator, the same teleprompter operator who is now on paid leave over claims of insider trading. Federal investigators say Gabriel Perez made nearly $100,000 on the prediction market Kalshi by betting on Donald Trump's speeches. Joining us, MS Now business analyst and author of The Message of the Markets on Substack, Ron Insana. James Sample, Hannah Rosen, still with us. First off, should this surprise us, Ron? Given the allure of a prediction market and the easy way to make cash?
It's not just the allure of the prediction markets and the fact that they've opened up to U.S. investors, Kalshi in particular, but we have seen this type of trading across what we think are a host of informed individuals in the U.S. government who have traded ahead of major announcements.
Oh, yeah.
And so, no, it's not unusual. I mean, I think it's maybe unusual for someone who's in the position of a prompter operator to make these trades, but he's just following, to a certain extent, the pattern of the behavior he sees around him.
Well, yeah, so that's the other part of this, Hannah. Why would he think he could get away with this?
I just want to pause and say how much I love this story. Like, we really couldn't have written this story if we were writing about a movie about this administration. First of all, I did not realize that teleprompter operators made $200,000 a year. So that was interesting news to me. And also, he'd clearly curried favor with Trump. Like, if Trump was going to sort of call him out, there was some special relationship there, and he admired Trump. And yeah, just the idea that you would count, because you can bet on Kalshi on things like how many times is the president going to say a certain word. So, of course, the teleprompter operator knows exactly how many times the president can say a certain word. Now, on the positive side for America, I will say that when there have been lawsuits in certain states trying to evict these prediction markets from that suit, the one thing that they have compromised on is that they will check the professions of the people who are betting. That's how they discovered him, but I think that's something they're starting to do more.
I think what's ironic, Katie, is the fact that it's anybody lower on the totem pole is getting caught. But people who are making much, much bigger bets in the tens of millions of dollars, nothing's happening at that level.
What are those outstanding ones?
Well, there are a couple, actually. There was one, I think, before Liberation Day. There was one before the start of the war in Iran. There was one when the ceasefire occurred. And these were all huge oil bets, not only in the futures markets, but in the prediction markets as well. And they were total tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And so nobody there, to put it in street parlance, is getting pinched. The teleprompter operator is the guy who's getting caught, and everybody else is getting away with murder.
James?
My fantasy life has gotten more and more mundane as I've gotten older. And so here's my fantasy. The emoluments clauses of the Constitution become meaningful. That's my fantasy now, because no one has monetized access to the inside world of all of this more than the person at the top, right? The crypto example is the ultimate example, but the tariff trades, all of that. Monetizing access. The teleprompter operator had some access. The person at the top, the whale who is not getting caught when the minnow is getting caught, is the person.
It's not nice to call him a whale.
I'm not calling the whale.
I know his wife, and I'm not going to tell her that this is his fantasy now either.
I know. I was going to say, you should give me her phone number, and I've got to take her out for a drink. I think she might need it. If that's your fantasy life.
The regulatory regime, Katie, has not caught up to the technology of these trading markets. But the emoluments clauses, the Supreme Court had an opportunity a couple of years ago during Trump 1.0 to turn the emoluments clauses. The framers put two of them in the Constitution, so they intended them to mean something.
I think that we have at this juncture the most lightly regulated markets that I've seen in my 42-year career. I mean, there is so much going on underneath the surface. There's so much what appears to be, at least from the government perspective, a insider trading cabal in the financial markets, in the betting markets, prediction markets, whatever you want to call them, that there's just not a lot of oversight that's taking place, except where it's really easy to catch them.
Let's talk about this other story that kind of dovetails with this. Truth Social API selling early access to Donald Trump's posts to Wall Street, you could have the first bite of what Donald Trump is going to declare regarding, I don't know, the Strait of Hormuz or a tariff. How is that okay?
I mean, to me, it's not. Now, and let me, if I can make this point, there are news organizations that sell breaking news and enterprise reporting ahead of what they release to the general public.
We are not the president of the United States.
No. And that's where I was going to go, is that they're not making decisions. They're uncovering information. The president's actually making decisions, putting them on Truth Social, and then selling that advantaged information to institutions and investors. The SEC should not in any way, shape, or form allow this type of activity to take place.
Hannah, one of the questions, I was out yesterday and I missed our dear audience. And so I asked them to send me questions on social media, and I tried to answer some of them. And one of them was, what is the most shocking headline I've seen since Donald Trump came back into power? And my answer was all of the headlines regarding corruption. And they just keep on coming. And the reason it is shocking to me is there used to be a pretty clear line in American politics. You cannot cross this. And Donald Trump, I mean, if there ever was a line, it's disappeared. I don't know where it is because he's so far past it on all of these attempts to make money, successful in some ways, and make a lot of money off being the president of the United States.
Here's my question about this one is that, you know, in betting markets and actually in sports bettings, we've seen that the betting drives the game so that the players will sometimes rig the game in order to ensure a certain outcome so they can make money. Is there a version of that with allowing early access? So Donald Trump is short on cash, and then he decides that because he's allowing early access, he actually makes a certain decision, like a sort of headline making, you know, breaking news kind of decision in order to make his product more valuable, his product being access to information. That is, you have your fantasies, I have my nightmares. That's the thing that I'm thinking about. This is truly, by the way, the first time in history when the word fantasy and emoluments clause has ever appeared together in a sentence.
You know, James has said some questionable things on the air on this show in the past. He's made some interesting word choices. But yeah, that was a good one, James. I like it.
It's interesting. Hannah brings up a very interesting point. Years and years ago, I was told that Yasser Arafat used to short Israeli stocks before the PLO would launch an attack on Israel. Yeah. So it's not unthinkable that people in power, and Saddam Hussein did this during the Gulf War as well, he would sell or buy oil futures based on some activity that he was going to undertake. It's not unthinkable that the leader of the free world
not at all, especially not this leader.
Yeah.
We've seen that he doesn't have much of a line when it comes to what he's willing to do and the ethical boundaries that he's willing to ignore. Hannah Rosen, it's been great to have you today. Thanks for coming on. I really do enjoy all your questions, so please keep them coming.
It's not my job. Sorry. Yeah.
No, it is. I love it. I do. That didn't sound serious, but I meant it. I did. I did mean it. All right. I'm gonna leave this here before I get myself in trouble. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Ron and James.
Thank you.